Hi, this is Aleksander Vitkin, and in this video I'm going to cover the 5 reasons why you should quit your job as a developer, sales, or account manager and start your own agency. Escape your job and build your own business to travel the world and make a bigger impact in life. So the first reason is probably if you're working in a company and you have a job and you're a developer or a salesperson or a tech, you're doing what the company is telling you to do. Usually, they don't have a very well-defined niche because a bigger company most likely has 5, 6 different types of niches that they cover. And you're not able to specialize. You're not able to laser target and focus on a specific type of client that you learn how to deal with and build your own assets. So what do I mean by this? Let's say you get a job in agency ABC. Now, agency ABC, they deal with 15 industries, and they're usually really big companies. What do you learn from dealing with really big companies? You learn how to communicate with their account managers, you learn how to communicate with their project managers, you learn how to communicate with their staff in general, you learn how their company works from the inside a little bit. What else do you learn? You learn what to deliver to them based on their requirements, based on how your company works and your process. But you don't learn how to build a structure like this. You don't learn how to build a process like this. And if you do build something, it doesn't belong to you. You're not going to own it. So you're just going to be doing random things based on your company's requirements and not be in control. As your own agency owner, if you start and build your own agency and you sell tech, creative, or marketing services, you build everything from the ground up and you own it. And the second reason why you should quit your job as developer, sales, or account manager and build your own agency is you want to own the assets. And why is that? It's because if you own a business, if you build a business and you create the processes, you're going to own it, which means you can sell it. You're the man in charge or the woman in charge. You know how it's built, you know from the ground up how it's built. You have all these processes that you build yourself, so you know how to build for any business in the future. So you learn lifelong skills that you can keep forever. You build assets that you can keep for a long time and then sell the assets later on. My friend William, he sold his agency for 1.4 million, right? I have other friends who sold it for less as well, for 400K, 600K. This is all possible because they own the agency. And they could have gotten the job and made 60, 70, 80, 120K, depending on the type of job in an agency, but instead they built their own. They got their own clients. They focused on a niche. They figured out how a specific industry works from the inside out, and they have deep industry knowledge, which is very, very valuable. So the third reason why you should build your own agency is you get to work with smaller clients, which has several advantages and also a few disadvantages. If you learn to work with small clients, you learn how small businesses are built and which businesses succeed and which businesses fail. This allows you to learn the skill of being an investor without having to spend money. In fact, you're getting paid to learn the skill of being an investor. And as you're learning this, you're learning multiple business models instead of just being in a business and doing a job, following a process and managing the CRM or being a production engineer or whatever in the production environment. You're learning how to build things from the ground up, not just from your own business, but from your clients' businesses. So you're learning the startup environment in a specific industry, which is very, very valuable. And this is also an asset that's in your head that you can keep forever. It's very hard to get. Usually you have to be like some rich investor, but as an agency owner, you're getting paid to learn this skill. The fourth reason to build an agency yourself and offer a service yourself is, look, we only live for so long. You only have several years in your 20s and 30s when you can be highly productive, you can learn things super fast, you're highly flexible, you're able to switch and pivot as needed. So it's very good to do this in your 20s or early or mid 30s, okay? Up to 38 years old is perfect because that's when you have the most influence. That's when you have the most energy, best health. You're not gonna really have that in your 40s, 50s, and 60s as much anymore. So it's good to figure this out early on and get that traction, especially if you're in your mid-20s. Right now, a lot of guys and girls in their mid-20s, they're stuck in jobs and they're paying off debt perhaps. Like, this is the perfect time where you can work a half-time or a full-time job up to 60 hours a week, and in the evenings work a few hours in your agency. And then once you get a few sales, you quit your job, you focus full time on building the agency, you build those skills, you build those assets. And this is actually something you can do with a full-time job, okay? And once that's going, you quit everything else and you focus exclusively on the business. And that's how I've seen guys go from doing $3,000-4,000 in a job to making their first 2-3 sales in an agency in the evening and on weekends. They make $3,000 to $6,000 from that. They quit their job that actually pays less. They focus full-time on the agency. They start doing 5, 15, 20K per month, and their income goes up. The business is mostly online, and they're able to scale, build new skills, hire people, and do all the fun stuff that a business owner can do, which is basically have a bigger impact on the world, help their family, and so on. So it's extremely valuable. And at the same time, they're learning the skills that will allow them to build any business for the rest of their lives. So the final reason to build an agency instead of having a job is the flexibility. People don't realize this, but in a job, you're actually forced to travel, forced to adhere to your employer's clients' demands and adhere to their work schedule, do overtime, all these things. In a business, you have a choice. I currently recommend 8 to 10 hours a day of focused work, and not more than that. The rest of the time, I recommend to be unavailable to clients, unavailable to demands, emails, phone calls, text messages. This flexibility allows to be ultra productive during the 8 to 10 hours of productive work, and the rest of the time you can spend on improving your lifestyle. This doesn't mean I recommend building a lifestyle business. What I do recommend is having a lifestyle that allows you to be successful in business, that allows you to be highly productive, that allows you to be healthy, that allows you to hang out with friends and family, and so on. Because if you can't do that, eventually you're going to get burnt out. Look at the people who are in their late 30s, early 40s. A lot of them are on the brink of burnout, especially in small businesses. They're on the brink of burnout. And that's because they didn't set up their life in a way where everything is balanced and geared towards being productive and effective. It's balanced towards spending lots of time at work until late in the evening every day for decades. And then they get sick, they can't be productive, they get like weird diseases that I don't want to mention in this video even, and they don't have time to spend with their family, with their friends, or anything. And that's in their early 40s or even mid-50s, and then they need to retire early. Now, I'm not saying this will happen to you, but I've just seen it happen even in my family, and I don't want this to happen to you. So I do recommend building an agency. I do recommend having the choice and the freedom to determine your own fate and build things the way you want to run it and on your own terms. But at the same time, it's not some easy thing where you work 4 hours a week. It's 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, and then you can be very successful in this if you're smart, determined, and you work hard. So that's all I have to share with you today. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please do comment below. And if you'd like more free videos on marketing, sales, and entrepreneurship, do subscribe. And I have a special video that I selected just for you related to this topic. It's right here. So click on that if you're interested in finding out more. Thank you, and see you in the next video.